so sad, to see this. Really sad. But you can't bring those days back. If I could do a good night, sweetheart, I would do it. I really would.
What do you miss about it the most?
The banter, the hustle, the bustle. Everybody knows everybody. And I think, especially in my buildings, there was no... You never took anything that wasn't yours. You never robbed anybody because everybody had the same, which was nothing, basically. I mean, we always had a piano. Always had a piano. And Christmas time, I mean, now, when I look at the kids now, I do feel quite sad because they want their computers Christmas, they want this, that. As I always say, that lady in there, she started playing when she was 14 and she was so talented. You've heard of Winifred Atwell? Well, she actually stood in for her just once, and I've got the letter upstairs to prove it, signed by Winifred Atwell. They were doing a children's concert and Winifred Atwell couldn't make it, and she stood in. She was very, very talented, and my granddad used to go round with her, especially to the Greygull. She used to play in there, and she was still at school then. She just left school. And I always say this to my kids, what the kids want today. We as children, Christmas time, there'd always be plenty of food because my grandfather worked at the fruit exchange, so we got our fruit. The other one worked at Billingsgate, so we got stuff. And my Auntie Bessie on the piano, one foot on a crate of brown ale, and you was away. There was none of this, I want this, give me this, because we didn't have the money. I did... not for very long, through the winter, on a Saturday, I worked for my Uncle Danny. Now, he had the biggest toy stall in Whitechapel, and it was right opposite the London Hospital. And I worked there till my fingers were blue. And, I mean, I was older then, so, I didn't want toys or anything, but even at that stage, I used to think, these kids, they come by the store with their mums, I want this. We never did that because we knew we wouldn't get it because there was no money, didn't have money. I remember my dad queuing up every day to see if he could get work until he went to work for Barnett's. Then he had obviously worked every day. But you think of it now and you think back and you think what your parents sacrificed for you, but of course as a child you don't think like that because it's just everyday life, isn't it? You get up, you go to school, you come back, you have your tea, such as it is, bit of bread and scrape they used to call it, dripping. Dripping. They used to call it bread and scrape, bit of dripping, salt and pepper. Only last week when I did the dinner, my son came over and he said to me, what are you drinking there? I said, it's cabbage water. He went, why are you drinking it? I said, because it's good for you. See, cabbage water, pepper, salt, vinegar. It's lovely. And I've drunk it since I was a child. My nan always used to give it to all of us.